I'm Yasmin Gagne.
I'm Josh Christensen.
And this is Most Innovative Companies Video Edition. So, Josh, you went to LA. Are you tempted to move there?
I did go to LA. I do genuinely love LA. I would never leave New York for it, but I do enjoy it, which I feel like is like my most toxic trait as a New Yorker is liking LA.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up, to be honest with you.
Do you like LA? Are you a fan?
No, it's like I like
Do you like
parts
anywhere
of
in
it,
California?
It's a collection of suburbs. I actually liked the Bay. I feel like it's changed a lot, not for the best.
Yeah.
But when I was going there like 10 years ago, I really liked it.
Yeah.
Because it's a walkable city and it's like a real city.
It
LA
is. I like
not
San
a real
Francisco. I like the broader Bay Area. It's not a real city. It's like urban sprawl at its most.
That's what I mean. That's why
parts.
I don't like it. I'm like, what is this? Like, stop lying to me. It's a highway.
The weather's so nice, though. The weather's so nice. But you can go to San Diego for that weather, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I never had an issue with the people.
Don't get me started. Anyway.
Well, the reason why we're talking about this and the reason why I went to LA is because today we're talking about Smosh. 20 years ago, not too long after YouTube itself launched, I should put on my glasses for this. Keep this all in because I have to read this off of a computer screen. So 20 years ago, not too long after YouTube itself launched, Ian Hecox and Anthony Padilla started uploading videos to the platform. What started as two teenagers trying to make each other laugh turned into the biggest channel on YouTube. It was the first ever to reach 10 million subscribers. Eventually, Smosh was acquired by a company called Defy Media. The company would expand rapidly, more videos, more cast members, even a movie, which they would probably prefer to not talk about the movie as much.
And to be clear, it's not still the biggest channel?
No, it's not still
right?
the biggest channel. It handed over the title to PewDiePie in the early 2010s. But it still has, tens of millions of subscribers across 5 different channels and boasts billions of views to date. It's still a pretty huge channel in the YouTube ecosystem. But after the company was acquired by Defy, a downturn came. Anthony Padilla left the company in 2017, and in 2018, Defy Media would abruptly go out of business, leaving Smosh in limbo. The brand would end up finding a new home with Mythical, a media company helmed by duo Rhett and Link, and Ian would continue to build the company he started, just without the friend he started it with. That was until 2023, when Ian and Anthony bought back Smosh and brought in Catanese, who had been working with Anthony during his time away from Smosh, to be the company's CEO. I talked with Ian, Anthony, and Ali about this 20-year evolution, the state of creator-led studios, and the rapid growth Smosh has experienced since reacquisition. Here's that conversation. Ali, Ian, Anthony, thanks so much for coming on Most Innovative Companies and welcoming me to your studio.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome to this is kind of known as our try not to laugh stage.
Yeah.
It's weird to be here not having water, trying to hold water in my mouth while people try to make me laugh. So this is a good spin.
You can't hold water in your mouth if you want to.
Okay.
If we all just put some water in our mouth right
sure.
now, see how long
spit it all over the microphone. Ruin your equipment.
So Fast Company really are a forward-looking publication. We like to focus on the future, but I would be remiss if I didn't start by going back 20 years, literally from today of when we're recording.
Mm-hmm. Was this scheduled on purpose to be our 20-year anniversary?
You'd have
on
to ask
the date?
your PR. It honestly just kind of worked out that I'm super happy that we got this time in here because it's pretty cool. But I went back and I watched your very first video that you uploaded, which is 1 minute. 1 minute and 13 seconds.
Ooh, long video,
of
man.
The two of you basically lip syncing to the Power Rangers theme song.
Yeah.
Which is very charming and very endearing. But looking back 20 years ago to that video, Does it compute in your brains that this is now a multi-million-dollar, dozens of employees business built around what was essentially a joke name, right?
Yeah, it was really, we just made it to make each other laugh. It was a webcam we made it with a webcam that I borrowed from my dad, and I was kind of showing Ian this thing, and I downloaded the Power Rangers theme song, and we were like, whoa, we could capture ourselves on this cam. I was like, it sounds so ancient now to be just like how the technology was new to us, and we were like, whoa, look at this. And it was just like, we were just like having a good time together. It is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely no intention to turn what we were doing in those early days into a business, because there's no such thing as turning a digital content group into a business. That didn't exist. There was no way to make money then.
No, I mean, YouTube was literally just a few months old at that point.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And, we were just about to go into college, not majoring in media or anything like that. I think we're looking to maybe getting into like more of like a business sort of thing. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just taking general ed courses and hoping I'd figure it out as I, took those classes. So yeah, there was no intention to be in this business at all.
But what's really cool is looking back, I feel like, spoiler alert, when Ian and I bought the company back, we'll get into those details soon. And but working with Ali, the three of us went back to those early videos and saw that really the core of what made Smosh so special at that time was the friendship element of it. So like, while we're a company that wants to make people laugh, we really wanted to hone in on that comedy rooted in friendship element that started it all.
Ali, when did you first come across Smosh content? Do you remember?
Yeah, well, I was working at Maker Studios from about 2010 until 2016. So early days, they were known as like the most subscribed YouTube channel at the time, when I was working with a lot of their friends and collaborators. And funny enough, I think it was 2014 when you guys passed the baton to PewDiePie. I was like a coordinator in the hotel room who brought the props for them. Because I was working with Maker and we were repping Felix at the time. And I remember getting the text like, we need you to bring these props to this room. And I remember seeing the guys and being like, oh yeah, those are the Smosh guys. Like, that's so cool. And how many years later now working with them.
I just hope it's like one of those classic Hollywood moments where Ian and Anthony were like, you.
Yeah. I don't think that
Unfortunately, it didn't work out.
Like, who is this loser? Get her out of this hotel room right now.
Yeah, they did scream at me. They were like, get out.
My concentration.
We good cop, bad cop. So I was like, she's amazing. And then we had an argument about that.
I doubt they even like saw me in the room. I was one of the background people who like was just like delivering something and then like running out. But I just remember every time I had a moment, and it was at VidCon. Every time there was a VidCon, there was always a moment where I was like, I just know I'm going to remember this, right? And I remember watching them film, you guys passing the baton to Felix and being like, I just know I'm going to remember this, and like this is going to be important somehow. And there's been a bunch of moments like that, but it's really serendipitous that we ended up where we are today.
Staying back, you talked about Ian just starting to put videos online to make each other laugh, to just try out this thing. When did you first start to think of Smosh as a business versus just this thing two friends were doing?
I think the viewership came first, and so we were like, okay, there's now people that are returning to watch our stuff, to watch whatever we put out.
And there was a demand where they were like, they're like, make more.
Yeah,
we're
make
like,
more.
What?
Well, there were only like 4 people making stuff on the at that point.
The bar was definitely much lower back then.
You had Newgrounds and you had the Flash animation stuff. There was plenty of,
there was other
E-Bombs World, all of that stuff.
Yeah, and we consumed all of that content.
Yeah.
So that's what inspired us to even have that inkling of an idea of like, well, what if we created something, but instead of it being Flash animation, it's on video.
Yeah.
And that was that crazy time.
And I think, I was working this part-time job at Chuck E. Cheese, and I was going to college.
Yeah, that's part of the lore.
Yeah,
that is part of the lore. He was actually the mascot. Too,
I was Chucky.
Is this the Freddy Fazbear?
Basically,
lore
yeah.
It's based on Ian's life.
And Anthony was doing like freelance web design, and I think we kind of like realized that we couldn't do all these things, and if we could find a way to have this be our job, that would make everything easier in terms of like being able to create content more consistently. Because at that time, consistent on YouTube was like posting one video every 3 weeks or something.
Yeah.
And so, I much prefer the idea of making silly videos over being kicked in the shin by 5-year-olds in a mouse outfit. So it was very attractive to me. But I think what allowed us to start thinking about it as a business was we got this deal from this company called Live Universe, I think was like the company's name. I don't know. It was called Live Video.
Yeah, I remember.
Livevideo.com. It was a YouTube competitor. And they said, hey, put your videos on our website 2 weeks in advance. Like they get like a 2-week window of exclusivity, and then you could post on YouTube later. And they gave us like a consistent kind of like amount of money. It wasn't a bunch, but it was our first like real like amount of money.
Yeah.
And we kind of saw it and we said, great. We saw the future in YouTube. We didn't quite see the future in this thing. So we held to our contract. We posted on it, but we promoted it whenever it went on YouTube.
Yeah.
We put it on there, and then when it came time to put it on YouTube, we were like, go check out the video, new video on YouTube, go check it out. And then about a year later, YouTube then asked us to be a part of the partnership program.
Yeah.
We were one of the first 10 channels to be monetized, and that allowed us to like really like be able to focus on YouTube full time, move out of our parents' house, create content more consistently in this house that we rented.
Yeah, it was a content house.
It was basically one of the first content
the original
houses.
content houses, maybe a little less problematic content houses.
Yeah.
What ended up happening was that we had nowhere to escape our work, so we just did nothing but work and work and work in this house.
And you were working in digital media still when it's in a nascent age, and people were. I mean, honestly, people still feel like digital media is in a nascent stage. Like I had an executive at a legacy media company ask me one time in like a desk side sort of chat. I'm not going to call them out here. And
you can name him. Go ahead.
It was Bob Iger.
So Barry Diller. And was like, hey, is this podcast thing going to stick around?
Yeah.
The year was 2021. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you at this point. But anyways, digital media still took a while and is still trying to legitimize itself. Have you seen that evolution firsthand?
It's been my career. The span of my career has been first acknowledging myself, how this is an industry and that I wanted to be a part of it, and that I felt that like gut instinct of like, this is going somewhere, and then making a career out of it. And part of my career has been trying to convince other people like studio execs or brands or whoever in the industry, no, this is real and it's powerful and it's bigger and better, or it's going to be bigger and better than what you're traditionally used to at this point.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, even when I was in the management world, I got brought into Anonymous Content, and they founded an emerging platforms department where I was supposed to be working with digital talent. I had signed Anthony at the time.
Yeah.
And they were like, should we make podcasts? And I remember being like, you guys are 5 years behind. Like, you should have been making podcasts by now, not questioning if you should make them at all.
Yeah.
So that's been a huge part of my career, is just seeing this evolution, but also being a part of the movement to actually tell people and like try and get them to understand this is bigger than what you're used to, and the implications of what our industry haven't even been fully thought through.
Yeah.
So where we're at now, I think is like barely the beginning of where this is going to go. And like, we can't even dream up the things that we're going to end up doing in 10 years with the way that the industry grows and booms so quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's it is always tough to parse through like what new technology, like you were just talking about with live video versus YouTube. There's always competitors where obviously there's a lot of conversation about AI bubble right now and what we're in right now, and really being able to parse through, what's the nonsense versus what's going to be sticky is an issue, especially when you have like OpenAI pivoting to AI erotica or something at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it was inevitable, right?
It was inevitable, but also like doesn't bode well for the future of AI, in my personal opinion.
Doesn't bode well for the future of erotica.
No, that's true. Also, I go to Quinn Erotica. They have real people writing real stuff.
Real people,
okay.
Friends of the show.
Interesting, really.
The CEO of Quinn Erotica came on this podcast last year and is delightful, and I really love their business.
Wow.
It's really interesting. So anyways, that's a plug for Quinn
There
Erotica.
you
Go consume it.
Go check it out. It's written by humans. We love it.
But I do want to, so we kind of got into, the current stage of digital media. I want to focus on Smosh again now. So you go through these beginning years, your channel blows up. I'm going to fast forward through a lot of things right now. You sell Smosh to Defy Media. You're with Defy Media for a while. You've talked a lot about this. You leave the channel. Defy collapses. Mythical, Rhett and Link pick you up. And then a little over 2 years ago 2.5 years ago, you buy back the channel. I actually want to start with you, Allie, on this question. As a relative outsider, you were obviously working with Anthony at the time. What was the mission from day one, buying back Smosh and coming in and taking this over, you stepping in as CEO?
Yes. So as a team, we had aligned on our, newer mission statement. And when I started, I got the programming team together and just really focused on like, what is the tone and voice of each channel? What is the thesis through which we make any content? Why? How do we delineate between each channel? Right. Yeah. And so there was a little bit of cleanup, but it was really getting the team together and saying, like, this is a team effort. Like, this is from you guys more than it's from me. Yeah. So at that time, I felt very familiar and obviously very much a fan of Smosh, but I didn't feel like I could come in and start dictating to them what they were already so good at and why and how they do it. I wanted to both give them the agency to refresh that tone and voice, but also give me a chance to learn from them of what it is that they utilize in order to think through and ideate and develop content on the channel. Yeah. So it was an exercise like in trust, but also in education of, how and why are we doing what we're doing and how are we differentiating? And then kind of reinvigorating the passion and excitement behind that. And so it was a little bit of cutting red tape and then utilizing our mission statement of comedy rooted in friendship. Yeah. So we ended up getting rid of or ending shows that felt like there was still that punishment or, anything where our talent felt like this isn't exciting or this doesn't make me feel good to be on set today. So we really leaned into the things where there was camaraderie, where there was passion, where there was excitement. And we leaned away from and slowly started to stop down things where, we or our talent weren't excited about it, or we didn't have somebody on the programming team who was like, I'm spearheading this. I'm leading the creative vision. So every single show we have now has at least one, if not two people on our programming team who feel ownership and passion over it and move it forward. And so we create and develop from that lens now.
Anthony, you were gone for 6 years, coming back in. So I kind of same question. What was your priority? More like personally, less as from just the business angle and the nuts and bolts.
Yeah. Much like what Ali was saying, like I wanted to come in and observe what was working. I had a lot of thoughts coming in just as a viewer. I became a fan of the content myself, but there were a lot of notes that I had. I was like, this could be refined. I feel like we could hone in on this. I feel like people maybe aren't as excited about this show as this show. And the thing I did not want to do was come in and say it all needs to be this way and everything's changing. Yeah. Because there was so much there that was working, and it was cool coming in and like learning the behind the scenes process with Ian. And, he's explaining to me, oh, we have this week is a shoot week, then this week is a week where the production is writing and curating and putting together what we'll be shooting the next week. Like just learning about this whole process and the way that the team works. I felt like I had to come in and learn that. People say that I speed ran being in every single show when I first, when we first announced that I was, that Ian and I bought Smosh back and then I was joining again. I speed ran. I was in every single show for the most part. And it was really interesting for me to appear on the cast side of it and learn how the production unfolded like while I was in it. And then, once that speed run was over, I was able to zoom out and use what I learned from that and look at it from a little bit more of the behind the scenes look and help refine everything. Yeah. So what I really wanted to do was refine what was working really well and kind of shift away from things that weren't working that well. And then what we ended up with was just incredible content that was all working really well, and we were able to just hone in on what was so good about it.
Yeah, you literally had to get to know a whole new cast of people as well. I mean, Ian, you really had to, being obviously the mainstay with the show the whole time, you had this new cast, or if some, people like Shane and Courtney who had been there from the Defy days and that, but new people kind of hitting their stride, finding their voice, and now you're reintroducing Anthony back into a channel. You own the channel now. I believe there was a video where it may have been an Assumptions video where I think Shane was talking about being like, this is cool. What does this mean?
Yeah.
Right. How did you approach that with your current employees with this big change?
Yeah. Well, because this was, when we were forming all of this, that was being done in secret. The only people that knew that it was happening at the company were myself, our CEO at the time, Daniel Tibbetts, and maybe our head of content, Josh, at that time. So I was basically kind of like playing the role of like translator for, because they got the org structure. We're trying to figure out like how this is formed when it comes back. And they would look at the org structure and go like, why is it this way? Like, do we need this? And then I would be like, okay, we need this because this is how everything is done. So like, I felt like I kind of had to play this like weird kind of like intermediary between how Smosh was ran before and how they're seeing Smosh could be ran when they came back in.
Yeah.
As far as like communicating it to the team, I'd worked with Daniel on sunsetting some of the content that we knew that we would have to sunset before we brought Anthony back. And there was a week when I think people were seeing signs of something was happening, but they didn't really know what. And I believe I might have sent out an email or something that said, hey, our show, Let's Do This, is going to be coming to an end. There will be an announcement or something in a week. Don't worry, it's good news or something. But still, like a lot of, there's a decent amount of
employees love cryptic emails.
Yeah. And like a decent amount of our employees were there when Defy collapsed. So there is like a level of trauma from our employees because they went through these things that were a surprise. And then all of a sudden everyone was out of a job. Yeah. So it was difficult to prepare people for that. And also there were people there that worked there when Anthony left. So I think there is a level of trauma of like, am I going to lose my job again? So there was that. And then, we did an all hands meeting. Rhett and Link showed up to that all hands meeting, and I think
put everybody on edge.
It put them on more edge. Yeah, they're like, okay, well, hold on, why are business dads here? And then I went in on the walkie and gave the code word, which was the eagle has landed, and then Anthony came through the door with Allie.
We had been out in the parking lot
hiding
and. We had parked like a block or two away. And I remember they were like, okay, it's almost time. Like you guys need to come closer so that you can like be by the door.
Yeah.
But some talent had shown up late.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking to Anthony and I kept being like, okay, I see somebody, like I recognize so-and-so. Turn with me, turn with me, turn with me, right? So that they would just see the back of his head and not know. And they'd just be looking at me, who nobody knew at the time, right? And so we did it like 3 times in the parking lot, this little dance of, and turn with me, and turn with me, until we got the walkie call.
Yeah. and then they walked in, people freaked out, but they thought it was just, like, freaked out positively.
Yeah.
But they thought it was just going to be like, oh, Anthony's going to collab.
Yeah.
And then we're like, we're buying Smosh back. And they're like, hold on, wait, what? Like, Anthony, you and Anthony are buying Smosh? What? But it was
fair. You kind of got in on the owners buying their company back.
We started the trend.
Cool. 2025 is the year of people big.
Yeah.
Outdoor Voices, Slutty Vegan
Rooster
got bought
Teeth.
back. Rooster Teeth, 23andMe, which is not in your same category.
bought their thing back. Yeah.
Yeah, so you were there 2 years before this.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, people saw us. They're like, I think I'm going to buy my company back.
I just hope that some of those people who bought their company back actually got like real money when they sold their companies.
Yeah.
Unlike Anthony and I, we got monopoly money.
Yeah, well,
it is
was
what it is.
What, 2008 when you
11,
originally 2011. Yeah, still you didn't have the same stupid money
Theoretical
being thrown around
money.
for media
It was
companies.
theoretical dollars.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
no precedent. We were like, oh, this sounds cool, like to be a part of like a larger media company that says they're going to go IPO at some day, and then then we'll have like real dollars. But we couldn't have known.
Yeah, and as much shit as we talk about that company, they did set up a lot of things that have become mainstays in for the Smosh brand, from expanding the channels and the variety of different types of content that we create, and helping us expand the cast. And
it was the only way to do it at that time.
Yeah.
I talked to Sam Reich from Dropout a year or so ago and talked about their whole experience with why am I forgetting the name of the Barry
College
Diller's
Humor?
company? College Humor,
IAC.
but IAC. Yeah. That's the name I was looking for. And there was just no other way to do it. But then the problem comes when the company's business priorities don't align, or in Defy's case, they just cease to exist altogether, and you're sort of shit out of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they also focus on expanding so quickly that it was like faster than what the audience demanded. It was faster than the employees could it felt like we were constantly catching up and trying to like keep up with this treadmill that kept being turned up faster and faster, and we learned a lot from that.
Yeah, they also had different priorities. I think they wanted us to make content to suit advertisers rather than create content that create content that would be so successful that advertisers couldn't not want to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's a hard distinction to make. And also that was also during the time when I feel like everyone was like, okay, YouTube is a platform to linear TV or to movies. You guys did
Stepping
Smosh the
stone,
movie. You had a bunch of different stuff. And some people it's worked really well for. Issa Rae is a perfect example of someone who was a YouTuber who then broke out into HBO show and now movies and television and stuff like that.
Right.
Was that a big part of the pressure during those days to move beyond YouTube?
Oh, yeah,
For sure. Yeah, like we were even contractually incentivized to create stuff outside of YouTube.
Yeah.
And it was constantly like, outside of YouTube, is this outside of YouTube? And it's like, YouTube's already good. Just keep doing what we're doing there, keep that afloat. But really it's about creating all this other stuff on the outside.
Yeah.
And there's some truth to that, but I think maybe it was a little bit too hard of a push, because in many cases we were incentivized to kind of forget about the content itself, which I feel like is the heart of Smosh. So now we definitely, we're always making sure that heart is still alive. And no matter what else we do outside of YouTube, that heart of the content is still there.
Yeah, I think we also at times became too complacent with the formats that were working. And whenever we would become complacent, be like, well, this show is banging, so let's just keep doing that show forever, and then focus on all this other outside stuff.
Right.
Rather than create like a good development process that could consistently try new formats and new content, which is what we do now. And I think, and I'm much happier with the kind of turnover of new formats, new content, new shows that feature different cast members that allow them ways to stretch their creative muscles and you know, their hosting abilities. Like Arasha wanted to do more hosting. We created this show called Duo, You Know Your Duo, which is pitting two groups of people against each other. Like we did Anthony and I against Rhett and Link, and it's kind of like a trivia, like how well do you know your duo? And it's because she wanted to try more hosting, and she does a great job at it.
Yeah, and we're also really seeing the value now in having hosts of shows, you know, like consistency that helps keep people coming back. I think for a long period of time, it was like just create lots of content and like it doesn't matter who's in it. And we're really seeing the value. Like, you know, even in my days when I was away from Smosh, I became a host of an interview show, and just seeing the value of having people attached to different shows. And that's what's so cool about our expanding cast now is slowly more casts are starting to find new shows to host. Shane is hosting Reddit stories, and it's cool to see that expand as well.
Yeah, and the numbers don't lie. I mean, you're on probably your fastest trajectory of growth on the channels in quite a while, yeah?
Yeah, I'd say it's been over 10 years probably. The growth right now is faster than it's ever been.
It's been nuts.
If you combine all the channels together as a whole brand especially.
Yeah. Wait, I mean, which is such a core part of your strategy. Ali talked a little bit about it with finding those voices. I did want to pick up on something that you said about some of the content you were sunsetting, realigning to a mission, and moving away from some of the more like punishment structure based stuff that you've done.
Except for slapping Anthony, obviously.
We had to get that one out.
Well,
we had to do that one.
Also, that wasn't a punishment.
Really
like it, is it a punishment?
Yeah, it was voluntarily haste.
I don't think you liked it when Arasha slapped him, because she slapped.
That caught me off guard.
She slapped the life out of him. That was crazy.
That's crazy.
I mean, she does have an
play
excuse.
that got on TikTok.
Oh yeah. Did it do numbers?
It broke through. I mean, that's one of those things. We'll get into this a little bit, but like short form to long form, not the slap in particular video, but like short form to long form.
Yeah.
It's sort of how a lot of things have broken back through to me. I remember Smosh from early days. I was way too online as a nerdy kid. So I remember Smosh like early pre-Defy days. And then it's sort of like trailed off for me, and I think probably a number of people as you get older. It was really kind of like early pandemic days TikToks of try not to laugh, and then some of the new stuff coming through that like broke back through. I was like, oh, Smosh is still a thing. And then I got reached out to by your PR, and then the rest is history, and we're here. We can cut that out. That's fine. We don't need to get into the sausage of how interviews are scheduled. Anyway, so my question was about punishment.
How do I punish them?
No, well, I think you two have been like remarkably open about things that have maybe not aged well on the platform, or that you're just kind of like, yeah, this is something that happened. And it's not like we've really grown and we're going to sit down on this couch and explain how we've grown as a brand. You're just kind of like, hey, Courtney, you want to do a song on Smosh Summer Games where you make fun of how someone put my toes in their mouth? Do that, and it cuts to you, and you're just kind of like, that's what it is. I mean, how do you come to terms with that sort of evolution? You have 20 years of material on your site, not all of which you're going to be necessarily proud of.
I mean, like, I think it's kind of like, you know, the typical like film technique of like show, don't tell. Like if we can show that we've changed, we don't need to like sit down and apologize for our past videos where we had a bunch of like bikini girls and like, you know, calling things gay, you know, like it's like people can see through our actions and how we represent ourselves now, that those things that we did in the past don't represent us today. We don't need to sit down and like play a ukulele and apologize for those things, because people know where we are these days, and they know where we stand on those kinds of issues. So I think it's great to just be able to grow. Obviously, comedy is the thing that ages the quickest. And I massive credit to our audience for understanding that, because our audience has never like really truly held those old things against us and tried to like, stir up a campaign to cancel us or whatever, because we've shown like where our values lie.
Yeah, which is, I mean, every hacky 50-something-year-old comedian is doing, anti-cancel culture content right now. And I feel like if you take that attitude, then people are just going to be like, no, fuck you. Like,
yeah. I see a lot of comedians like yelling at the audience a lot.
Yeah.
And like this is their way of, I saw this comedian very recently who was an old school comedian and he was a name and he's not really doing well anymore. And he was at a smaller venue trying out some new material going on tour.
Yeah.
And the audience just wasn't laughing. And he screamed at us for like 10 minutes about how we're too sensitive and da-da-da. And I remember thinking like, it's not that we're too sensitive, it's that you're not funny and you're leaning on this like crutch of like shock value instead of really trying to work on and develop your comedy.
Yeah. And understand what an audience wants.
Right.
Like tastes change, people change. And I think, a lot of those like anti-woke people, I think they're just refusing to get with the times maybe. And I mean, there is definitely an audience for that. Like, I mean, I think the Austin comedy scene is its own sort of like thing.
Yeah.
And so if you want to be that, there is an audience for that in Austin.
Yeah.
But for us, I think we were really committed to honoring the voices of our cast and being able to platform and grow the voices, right? So like they've said, we have a little bit more diversity now, and we continue to want to seek out that diversity, not just in our cast members, but also in the POVs and voices that we are creating our content. So even on our programming team, or when we look at writers, and in the future as we build out these teams, to us it's helping us grow and challenge our perspectives on comedy. Because if you saw Arasha put on a live show independently from us, and I went to go see it, and it was amazing. And it was very specific to the Desi community, but it was totally relatable. There was not a moment where I felt lost or I don't understand or this is just isn't for me. I felt, hey, this is the like relatable, like overbearing parents that your roommates want to impress. And then all of a sudden your parents are embarrassing you, or you're running into the exact same issues in dating and life in general, right? And she brought a real originality to the way in which she wrote and performed with her group and with her partner, Lily. And I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was amazing. And it made me so proud to have somebody like her on our cast, because she's helping contribute to perspectives and tones of voice that we and the guys wouldn't be able to achieve on their own, and having that kind of cast and diversity, both on the employee side and the cast side, is what keeps us growing and fresh and relevant even today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that plays into our comedy rooted in friendship mission, because it's about the dynamics of the friends. And I think what's so cool is like there was a comment that I saw recently where someone was like, Smosh, my favorite friendship simulator. And then people were commenting.
Little parasocial.
Yeah, a little bit. Like people were commenting like, oh, POV, hanging out with friends. And it's like, that's what it's about. And it doesn't matter what people's backgrounds or culture are. It's like, can we make each other laugh? Can we support each other? Can we, encourage each other to take risks and be silly and not care too much about being judged. Yeah. And those things are universal. I think those are things that all humans want. I feel like I talk about this a lot, but I'll turn on Smosh. Sometimes I'll just be doing other things in my house and I'll hear it in the background. And it just reminds me of that feeling of being at a family get together and you're off to the side, but there's like just good vibes over there. And you're like, oh, I can't wait to get back.
Yeah.
And I think that's so cool. I think that's what has set Smosh apart and given that longevity there. So like, even while there's like all these different ways that we've evolved, we get to focus on, it's not just about the jokes and like how many jokes per minute can you get out. It's about like how much can you have fun together. Yeah. And I think that's why Smosh has survived.
And I think like the audience also does shape how the dynamic is formed. Like the audience kind of decides which jokes become like a consistent meme.
Yeah.
And that influences the content. So it is kind of cyclical. So I think people do feel like a sense of ownership over the kind of content that we make.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, yes, from a creative standpoint, that makes a ton of sense. But even just as a pure like business approach, your audience is pretty wide at this point. You've been around for 20 years. You have probably a group of fans that are your ages, and you also have this new group of fans who might be more more aligned with some of your newer cast members, who are younger, who are Gen Zers, maybe even some like Gen Alphas getting in there. It seems like that mission statement of friendship, comedy rooted in friendship, is not just a guiding principle for you artistically, but also to serve an audience that has different needs at different points in their lives.
Yeah, and I think it's also cool that we have cast members who are in their late 30s. We have cast members who are in their mid 20s, and I think there's so much rhetoric about like this generation versus this generation, and it's almost like pitting like there's no common ground. But it's really cool. There's some audience members who will relate to certain cast members, and others will relate to others, and you can see these examples of healthy dynamics of people of all different backgrounds and ages getting along with each other, and again making each other laugh. And I think it just keeps going back to that. And I think that's why we can continue to grow our audience so well, whether that's people Gen Alpha coming in, or even older people now starting to discover that they like to have YouTube on their TV and they can find a home in Smosh as well.
Yeah, and I think like to that, the sort of comedy rooted in friendship mission statement that we kind of all arrived to, before we had that, in kind of the whole time that we were under Mythical, we had this realization of the fact that we have a generational audience. Like there's people, like you were saying, that are a wide range of ages, experience, locations around the world. And for a long time, what Smosh was we had a lot of, like, pop culture was a big part of Smosh.
Like you said, Power Rangers was our first video.
Yeah,
the first video that blew up was the Pokemon video. Boo!
You looked at me funny. Let's battle!
Because a lot of that was like universally understood things.
Yeah.
But in that time under Mythical, and this has nothing to do with Mythical, I think pop culture died. And I think
monoculture.
Monoculture died with like, I think TikTok accelerated it, because we realized, like, whenever we would do like a specific property, like, oh, we're going to do like a Game of Thrones parody, or, oh, we're going to do a Stranger Things parody, something that you would think everyone understands.
Yeah.
We'd make that video, it would do poorly. Mm-hmm. And so in that time under Mythical, we were really racking our brains to try to figure out, like, how do we create content that does hit every member of our audience, rather than like a little piece of our audience here, a little piece of our audience there. And I really feel like we just could not fully crack it until we really connected on this mission statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we bought the company back and made the announcement, like, a lot of new eyes came in, a lot of old eyes came in who stopped watching over the prior 10 years. And what was really cool, Ian's mentioned this before, like, we, in our minds, we kind of expected a big spike and then it kind of to go back where it was. And then we would slowly keep climbing from there. But that huge spike happened and it dipped a little bit, and then it continued to climb from that very high spike already. Like, we started from a really good footing there. And I think the reason that so many people came in and checked out what we were doing and stayed is because it was relatable in that way. That friendship element was the relatable aspect.
Yeah.
And we no longer had to, or the Smosh brand no longer had to rely on IP to be relatable and an entry point for people, but it's the dynamics themselves.
So we talked a little bit about YouTube as a platform already. It's impossible not to talk about them. Literally, their growth and that has been parallel with yours, both 20-year-old companies at this point, started obviously slightly after, although Smosh.com started before YouTube.
Yeah.
We don't need to necessarily get into that.
There's lore there, but we don't need to get into it.
Not necessarily part of the business conversation.
Sure.
Nilay Patel from The Verge has a running joke that a YouTuber gets their wings when they make a video complaining about YouTube on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And I think ultimately the friction point comes down to creators don't control the distribution platform. YouTube does.
Mm-hmm.
And it's understandable to be frustrated with that. Also, YouTube's a business that wants to make money, and that's something that you're going to have to deal with. If YouTube sees more profit in live streams or content around events like the Grammys or a football game, they're going to push that in the same way that they may push YouTube Shorts. How do you manage that relationship with YouTube? And there are, maybe this comes down to a type of content you want to make that the algorithm just doesn't prioritize anymore. How do you deal with that? And it'll start from a creative standpoint, and then maybe, Ali, we can talk about that from a revenue standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like one thing we discovered pretty quickly was that YouTube was rewarding longer and longer content.
Yeah.
A big part of that is people are watching more YouTube on their TV. A part of that is that YouTube now will kind of hold your place, and when you open the app again, it says continue watching, so people want something longer that they could put on. In the early days of YouTube, it was very engaged content. It was like 3 minutes max, and you were very engaged the whole time. Ian and I would sprinkle references every second, it was like you are so engaged. And now the content type, what YouTube is pushing has changed a lot. And I mean, I think it's actually worked out really well for us.
Yeah. And I think also, like, yeah, there's a lot of YouTubers that make some sort of complaining video about it. And I do think that creators are definitely a very important part of YouTube. But I think some creators have like an inflated sense of how much their content
affects the platform.
Yeah, because there is just so much on YouTube that I think if you took the top 50 creators, the percentage of viewership of their content compared to the rest of the viewership on YouTube would be like a little tiny sliver. So I think for a creator to spend their time complaining about the algorithm rather than trying to figure out if their content or their audience is even interested in their content anymore, I think it's maybe just not the right use of their time.
Yeah.
Like to complain about it, because YouTube isn't going to bend over backwards for 5 creators.
Not to mention, people forget YouTube is also a search engine. So
second biggest search engine after Google, which is owned by the same company.
Right. So
interesting.
Even if people aren't, like Ian's saying, even if a creator is struggling on the platform and then they get this, disillusion that, oh, I should complain about the algorithm to get YouTube to adapt to me. It's like, we know that we're not YouTube's biggest priority. We feel a priority with them. Our partner manager certainly makes us a priority, which is wonderful, and we're grateful to that. But when it comes to running a business, you can never put all your eggs in one basket. Because if 20 years has taught us anything at all, or everything, it's that we have to diversify our revenue and we have to be adaptable. Yeah. So like Anthony was saying, the content, like one of the first steps was making the content longer. And at first, this is a bit predating me, but at first that's expensive because it means you're recording more, which means then you're taking longer times to edit, which also means
Cloud
you have
storage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Storage and rendering time, export time, all of that, right? So costs and labor increase with that. Then for us, it was, okay, YouTube is pushing YouTube TV. So we want to be able to make sure that as they prioritize that, we are adapting and optimizing for that. So that means that over the last year and into next year, we've started to invest more in 4K, which is also more expensive, more time intensive. It like doubles, if not triples, the time, the labor, the storage, right? Like we basically are looking at, do we get a new server, an additional server right, for all of this.
I was talking to one of your production folks, James, about 4K and just I mean, what's the platform actually pushing versus compressing all of this audio or video into YouTube? Does 4K actually
But it's important to us to look good, right?
Yeah.
We want the
you also
experience.
have a partnership with Samsung TV, which I'm sure
Yes,
that's a different
yes,
thing
that
with
also
PT
helps,
networks,
right?
yeah.
Our distribution beyond us.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that people still talk today about digital versus traditional, and to me, I don't think that there is a line between them anymore. I think more and more this has meshed and melded into one industry. So when people talk about, oh, so-and-so's video got this many million views, which is more than this late night talk show host show gets, I'm like, first of all, you're comparing apples to oranges. And second of all, you are pitting us against each other in an industry that needs to embrace each other at a time where we need to embrace each other. Because like you said, there's a lot of traditional executives who are completely lost when it comes to the value and what it is that we're doing here. And it's starting to take a toll on traditional, but we are blending these together. So to us, it's important to what we call kind of like future-proof stuff.
Yeah.
So no, not everything is going to be 4K immediately because it's expensive and laborious and all those things. But slowly as we go, we want to be able to say, okay, as we see the transition from mobile viewers to the TV living room experience, we want to make sure that if today somebody brings up Smosh content, the newest stuff that goes up there is 4K or is the best quality it can be.
Right.
And then as we build into that, there will hopefully be a future in the next couple of years or however long it takes where all of our content is 4K content. And it doesn't matter if you're watching it on your phone or your desktop or your TV or wherever, it's going to be the best quality possible. And we're going to be putting our best foot forward always.
So Alphabet had an earnings call recently where Sundar Pichai, their CEO, laid out a bunch of different revenue goals, but also part of what was in that for YouTube was that YouTube Shorts on a per watch hour basis is outpacing core YouTube advertising dollars.
That's
now, obviously,
crazy.
It's a little crazy. The metrics are a little, because it's short form content versus long form is a little off. But when someone brings up something like that in an earnings call, it means that they are pushing that format. Is Shorts and vertical video writ large off platform becoming more part of a revenue picture for you, or is it still mainly a promotional tool?
It's definitely still mainly a promotional tool. We are seeing a significant amount of revenue from it, but not enough that it competes with YouTube, nor does it compete with the branded content that we do.
Yeah.
So it's still valuable to us. Like, TikTok in general, in my opinion, does not offer the best revenue share for any platform out there. I see a lot of creators on platforms like TikTok and Snapchat, and the labor that they have to put into it and the boundaries that they have to cross. I think here at Smosh, our talent, especially Anthony and Ian, want that privacy. They don't want to be posting their daily lives every single day, all the time, 100 snaps a day.
I mean, I would watch Get Ready With Me content.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Well,
in another life.
It wouldn't be interesting, trust me.
But we value that work-life balance in everything that we do with everyone. So to us, what the traditional creator might do when they're sharing their lives is not something that we embrace. However, platforms like TikTok and Snapchat's revenue, rev share programs are set up to favor those types of creators and encourage those types of creators to continue posting. This is why you see TikTok creators post so many pieces of content on a daily or weekly basis. Yeah. And what else can you post if not your room or your get ready with me or your speed clean or, you're unpacking, you're packing, you're doing this, you're doing that, my nighttime routine, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Right? Because it's just right there and you're one person. That makes a lot of sense. However, it's not sustainable. All of those creators hit a point where they burn out. And we are committed to creating sustainable practices and processes that allow us not only to not have to cross those lines of privacy, but also make sure that we're not burning out our employees or our cast so we can honor work-life balance. At 5:50 every single day, our automated Slack message goes out. We are closing the office in 10 minutes. You should be prepared to leave at 6 o'clock. And we have company rules that say, do not Slack or message or call or, try and contact somebody after hours. If your business was not finished that day, you will have to pick up at 9 a.m. the next day. So you can send an email, don't expect a response, right? Yeah. And to me, it's really important to honor that because that's what keeps people passionate about working here. And that also means that we'll continue to thrive and grow our content in those practices and processes for an audience that understands, acknowledges that, and respects it, and therefore loves it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I want to transition into, you have a pretty big announcement. I'm going to say to our audio-only audience, who I'm looking into a camera and you can't see me, if you're listening to this on audio, I highly encourage you to go to our YouTube page and watch this on video, because you're going to want to see what we're going to talk about next. So we're going to take a quick break and then be right back. All right, we're back into it. And first, I want to let the three of you, or the two of you, make an announcement of what's next for Smosh in 2026.
Yeah.
Take it away, Ian.
Sure. So,
Or just one of you.
Yeah,
Just one of you.
At the
just say
same
it
time.
simultaneously. Yeah. So when Anthony and Allie came back, we were about 32 employees. Today, we're at about 70 full-time employees. So we have outgrown our current space. So yeah, we're announcing that we are moving to a new studio. So we're currently building that out. Allie's being very specific about how it's going to look. So if you don't like how it looks, you can blame her.
They love how it looks, so you can blame them too.
No, I'm stoked.
But
Well, like, what's the overview? What's the specs of the new space we're moving into? And I should say, we're in your current studio now, about 17,000 square
Correct.
feet.
Yes.
2 sound stages, office, prop storage, production spaces. It's a big campus already. Campus may not be the right word. I'm not sure.
Sure.
We'll get
we'll
closer
get there
to campus
eventually.
We're getting
territory,
closer
but
to
we're not quite
campus
there yet.
territory.
That'll be
But
the
this
next
is a big
next
space.
one.
This is a
Yeah.
big space. So, like,
Yeah.
give me a little overview about what this new space is.
So the new space is about 32,000 square feet. There's 2 floors of office space, which is huge for us because we are out of office space over here and definitely bubbling over with props and wardrobe and set deck and like you name it.
Yeah.
The way I like to explain it is we like physically just could not launch another show or take on a new project, no matter how much we loved it, no matter how much we care, in this building currently. So in this new building, it's both going to allow us to expand what we're doing content-wise, but also more appropriately house the employees that we do have and create a little bit more of a structured environment. So in this new building, it's really important to us to balance the structure with the like startup vibe that we still feel we have today.
Yeah.
There's a lot of new processes that we put in place. We don't feel this need to elevate ourselves to this like corporate structure, you know, where there's a lot more red tape and there's a lot more rules. We do have a lot of guidelines, but we love that a lot of the things we have and processes we have in place here are very fluid. So we adapt with what we need to. But it still creates the structure that is necessary in order for people to be very clear on what the goals are, how to get there, and how to do it in appropriate ways.
Yeah.
So while we still have like clearance checks and, you know, sometimes we need the occasional legal approval on things. I don't know what we shoot most weeks because I don't need to know what we're shooting most weeks.
Yeah.
They have a sandbox in which they play in. And, you know, on the business side, I stay out of the creative decisions. They do know to bring me things if it's like, hey, is this going to get us in trouble for any reason? But otherwise, every once in a while, I like to be able to make the time to like be like, what are we shooting this week? And can I be on set for it? And sometimes it's just a really lovely surprise that we have some really fun stuff going on. So we want to honor that. And then this building allows us to create more space and communal areas where we can celebrate what we do, but also be professional and feel a little bit more polished.
Yeah. We've got some renderings in front of us, which you guys haven't seen before, actually. Allie, tell us what we're looking at here.
So we work with a couple different people. So S3 is our contractor. Studio 440 is our architect who also was designing our stages in partnership with Cassie Vance, our production designer.
Yeah.
And Studio Kita is the design firm that came on to design the actual communal spaces for us. So everything from conference rooms and offices to what we're going to have now, which is a talent lounge, which we're very excited about. Currently, our talent lounge is a makeshift corner room where
it's like where a garage was.
Yeah.
And we put down like a rug and some couches and a lamp.
Yeah.
You made it nice.
So we like to create a little green room area, both for talent to be able to like get away and have a little like privacy during a very hectic day, but also for when we have external guests come in. So this talent lounge allows us to have a communal space for all of our talent, whether they're guests or cast members, to hang, be prepared for the day, but also creates the space where this is a communal space. There are other spaces that we've created for them where they're going to get their privacy. We're going to have better, more professional hair and makeup rooms with like proper setups, so it won't feel makeshift anymore. It'll be dedicated space that's done in a very professional and state-of-the-art way. But this one we were really excited to show you guys because this is probably one of the most like beautiful, but also reminiscent of our, comedy rooted in friendship, like creating a communal space intentional for talent to have that place to relax, but also be together. Yeah. So the expectation coming into this room is, hey, I'm going to be on set, but before I'm on set, we have a space where we can talk, we can collaborate, we can catch up, or we can say, hey, do you want to rehearse the scene today? Or do you want to talk about what we're trying to accomplish with this video we're about to shoot? And there is this door right here enters directly onto the stages. So our production team has a little bit easier time pulling them on.
Yeah. I think that was one of the major focuses for this is just working out a better flow for production and talent, getting talent to the stages, production knowing exactly where the talent is. We love our cast, but sometimes it is herding cats.
Yeah. It's comedians, it's actors, it's,
So creating a space for them to feel comfortable in and to congregate in, I think was really important. And then we'll have like a private room if there's maybe a celebrity coming in that wants a little more privacy. We can have a room specifically
proper
for them.
Green room
with
a closing door.
Not a weird little
curtain. A little curtain. Yeah,
like a shower curtain almost. Yeah.
So we wanted to level up the space and bring a level of professionality, but also we wanted to feel fun and embody that element of creativity and working together as a team. Like right now, a lot of our lights are like big kind of fluorescent overhead lights, and we wanted a lot more soft lighting and stuff that feels more comfortable and again, like you're hanging out with your friends, not at someone's house, but you're hanging out with your friends in a professional environment.
Well, this is a big architects and office designers. There's been a trend, particularly since the pandemic, about bringing a living room feel into the office in a way and finding that balance in a design aesthetic. So I feel like that's even more important when you're talking about getting people in a space where they can be creative and funny and feel like they are building chemistry with the people that they're working with.
Yeah, and I think like also color wise, I think we want it to be somewhere comfortable.
Yeah.
But I also don't want people falling asleep. I've seen some of these like production companies and they bring in and everything looks very calm. Yeah. And I'm like, man, if I sat down on that couch, I will fall asleep. So I think it was striking a balance between like comfortable, but also you're gonna stay awake, but also not hitting people with like Nickelodeon greens.
Yeah, we wanted to feel grown up and mature, but in a way that still honors the comedy, the internet of it all. So I think like we brought color in very intentionally, and Studio Kita obviously did an excellent job. Yeah. So there's a lot of practical use of the space as well as, sorry, hold on, I think it's over here. So you'll see here, we still are reutilizing the shut up sign. Yeah. So, and then they did a really good job of creating our logo in like an intentional space. Like having the mirror there is really important to us. And then you'll see over here, we have all the like wardrobe for the day, whether that's they want to talent want to put away their personal things and have a little cubby underneath, or if we want to set them up with, hey, here's the costumes that you're going to be wearing today. And so they're easily accessible. And then over here, it becomes both like visually beautiful, but also honoring all the awards that we've received. Yeah. So this is a display that is multi-purpose. The team at Studio Kita showed me this and I was like, obsessed immediately.
That's cool. That's amazing. I do want to get to these
sure, yeah.
Next renderings, which are of an office space.
An office. We're not sure which one yet.
It's
Well, I joked
wow,
with
Allie, that office looks pretty nice.
This is a really nice.
really cool.
It's
a really cool
This is where all the
office.
money went. Isn't it?
This is an office for somebody who works really hard.
I
Yeah.
joked with Allie earlier. I was like, I want to end the interview by asking who gets the biggest office. And I think there's actually a pretty good answer.
Actually,
to
I
this,
think it might be Nate.
No, Nate and I's office is the same size.
Same size.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
Fuck Nate.
Whoa.
No,
We
he's
love
the
Nate.
most important of all of us because he
Sure.
runs people and culture, which means he runs HR, which means
Oh, yeah.
he deals with all the complaints.
Yeah. So we need a nice, comfortable room for Nate.
Yeah. A nice stress relieving
yeah.
room for Nate. Yeah.
But Allie actually explained to me earlier kind of your philosophy around your office or lack of office in the news space and how you're approaching that in terms of being a part of the cast and crew in a different way, which I think is fairly unique for owners of a company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think that before Allie joined, it was more important for me to be here on a daily basis and like take on this kind of like day-to-day leadership role. I think that now that has changed. I feel like I can be closer to talent rather than be this kind of figure in the office day in, day out. That allows me to be more creative, take back some time for myself, and just be a happier person in general. Because I think, but before Allie and Anthony came on, I felt this need that I had to be at the office every single day.
Yeah.
First one in, last one out. And I didn't necessarily have anything to do sometimes. Like sometimes I just sit in my office and be like, well, what am I doing here? But I guess I need to be here to be like, because that's what a leader does or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was pretty unhappy. So I think that in this new office, we talked about running out of space here. We're almost out of space in this new office.
I know.
And so we were looking at the office spaces and I was like, no, like give my office up to somebody else.
Yeah.
Like somebody else needs that more than I do. Somebody that's going to be there every single day, that will need to have private conversations. If I come in and need to have a private conversation with somebody, I'll book a conference room.
Or he'll
Otherwise-
kick me out of my office.
I'm definitely
It's the
gonna sleep on
nicest
your.
one.
I'm gonna sleep on your couch. That looks pretty nice.
That's
so.
okay. I accept that. That's fine.
Yeah, and even at this point, I don't have an office here. Immediately when we bought back the company, I was like, I don't think I need an office. I'm here a lot, but not every single day.
Right.
And when I am here, I'm hanging out with the cast in the talent lounge or, in one of our meetings. And I feel like I always have a space to be. And then there's enough communal spaces if I do need to sit down and get some work done that are peaceful enough. I just don't think that me having an office would necessarily provide a lot to me or anyone. And like Ian said, there's a lot of people that need offices, so it doesn't need to be.
But we
in
do
or out.
have a dedicated talent office separate from the talent lounge that will have a desk for them as well as the rest of our full-time cast.
Yeah.
And I think that, like they were saying, like goes back to giving them the time to be cast members.
Right.
I think Anthony and Ian do a really good job of balancing the two, and more often than not, they're seen as owners and managers in the office, but giving them this communal space with the talent in the lounge area as well as the desk space in the talent office gives them that connection with talent of camaraderie there, because I think it's important for everybody to remember, like, they are artists too. And that was one of the things that we discussed when we started, and they asked me to be CEO was, Ian very humbly acknowledged he didn't want to have to bear a lot of the burden of the business and the management thereof.
Yeah.
I still run most things that I do by them and with them in terms of our mission statement, our company goals. There's not really decisions I'm making that they're not aware of in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
But it's because we're aligned and we have that trust between us that they can let me go run the business in the ways that I need to. And they can focus on being artists and creators and making sure that the content as well as the cast are honoring the roots of the company and that, collaboration that YouTube is even founded on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and oddly enough, I feel like I spend a lot of my time being a fan of Smosh, and I'll be at home, and when I'm working from home, like it sounds silly, but I'm watching Smosh videos. I try to consume Smosh content as a fan would, so I get a better understanding of how people consume it, and it helps me understand it helps me just kind of like vibe check everything, and I'm always just feeling how things are going and taking notes, and I'll come into meetings and I'll have notes from all the things that I learned from all the videos that I watched in that week. And it's kind of an interesting position to be in this leadership role and be able to actually consume all the content that we release.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing to be able to intentionally design a space for where you are now. It must feel like, this 2.5 years since buying back Smosh to moving into this new space, does it feel like you're sinking into a home again in the way that you were when you first started?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we would have expected to be here this quickly.
Yeah.
I think this was more of a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan. We set goals, we set 3-year goals, we set 10-year goals, and we're already surpassing those by quite a lot, and we're like having to rethink like, okay, did we set our expectations too low? So I think like this is all happening at a pace that was faster than we could have expected. Feel very grateful. We're still doing this within our kind of like scope. We don't have like a giant backer. We're trying to do everything in a sustainable way. So a lot of this like office space you're seeing like, oh, okay, like the bones are like, an office that was probably last renovated in the 80s. But we're doing what we can. I think we're creating a beautiful space with the resources that we have.
Yeah.
And who knows? In 10 years, maybe we will do that campus.
Yeah.
So what does longevity look like for Smosh, and what does the company look like 5, 10, 20 years from now?
Yeah, guys, what does it look like 5, 10, 20 years from now?
I mean, that obviously is an impossible thing to answer because you have to stay malleable. You have to keep up with the times. We can't be the curmudgeons that are like, 3-minute sketches need to come back. We can't be trapped in that mentality. But I think it's really about continuing to hone in on what we do best, the comedy rooted in friendship element. You'll probably start to see more faces on camera. There'll be more people working behind the scenes. Really, we want to create an environment where people either in front of camera or behind camera get to live out some of those dreams that Ian and I got to experience in the early days. A lot of our cast and crew watched Smosh growing up and wanted to do something like that. Now they get that opportunity to do that. We want to continue giving opportunities for people to have that experience that we got to have when we were younger as well.
Yeah, I think that's really the big thing is like the most important thing for us is to create a space that is attractive to both talent that is in front of and behind the camera. So as long as we can continue to do that, we'll continue to attract the best talent. And they will be the ones that will decide what our path forward is, because we're going to bring in people that have minds that are not our minds that are going, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Do this instead. And we're like, oh, yeah.
And all these people in front of and behind camera over the past 5, 10 plus years have helped guide Smosh to be what it is now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I always say, on the creator end, we want to be ushering in the next gen of comedians. And I love what Ian said about we want to do that behind the camera too. We have a lot of brilliant creatives who on every team, not just our programming team. And I think one of my mission statements in making this a great place to work is to be able to attract those kinds of people, and for them not only to say, I love what Smosh does, but it's an honor to work here because I feel taken care of, I feel heard, I feel like I can be passionate about what I'm doing. And it's still a job, of course, but it's one that I'm like proud to show up to every day.
And it's why we've always referenced Saturday Night Live. When we try to explain to people that don't know what we do, we're like, well, it's kind of like the Saturday Night Live of YouTube or the internet. But the main reason for that is because for every comedian growing up when we did, Saturday Night Live was the place that you aspired to. Like they showed that they could find the funniest people and turn them into stars.
Yeah.
And so anybody that was a comedian that wanted to become a professional comedian, that was the path. It was like, well, I have to go on SNL. That's the only way. It's either that or become a stand-up comedian and do a set on Letterman.
Yeah.
So we want to be that for the internet. If somebody says, I want to be a creator, I want to be a comedian online, we want them to say, like, I want to be a part of Smosh and grow there.
Yeah, and we, all the hardships that Ian and I went through with our previous company who owned us, and we were the talent there as well. Like, we didn't own the company anymore, and we were essentially talent who were creative people who contributed, and that's what a lot of our cast does now as well. So I feel like we're able to take a lot of what we learned there and apply that with all of our casts going forward. And one of those big things is I felt a little bit restrained and constricted, while we want to give our cast opportunity to even grow outside of Smosh if they so choose to do that. Like, we want to be the place, Ian and I talk about this a lot, we want to be the place where people grow at Smosh, and then maybe they do other things, and maybe they feel like they grow to new ventures, but then they continue to come back, whether that's permanently again or even just making guest appearances, because they had such a good time. We created such an environment that could foster their creativity and was a good work environment for them.
I think that's a great place to end it.
Yeah.
Ian, Anthony, Allie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.